Welcome back to GCN Racing. Today was stage 2 of the week-long UAE Tour, and rather more lumpy than yesterday's first stage. In total, 168 kilometres, starting in Hatta, heading northwards initially, and then east to Fujairah. It was at that point that they basically turned around and came back pretty much the same way they'd come. There were no categorised climbs along the way, but that didn't mean that they didn't have to deal with any climbing. In fact, there was quite a bit along the way, not least at the finish, located in Hatta Dam. This now is a regular feature of these races. It's only 200 metres in length, however, with gradients of up to 17%, it's a proper test for everybody in the race. It turned out, though, not to be much of a test to get into the day's early breakaway. Tor Tomasi and Sternich of Vini Zabu KTM, but without their Gazprom friends from stage 1 yesterday. So, just 2 riders out front, 3 minutes and 38 seconds their lead after just under 30 kilometres of racing. Now, with it being such a small breakaway at the head of affairs, it did mean that there were points and a bonus second on offer behind for the main peloton at the first intermediate sprint. Tadej Pogačar of UAE Team Emirates right up there trying to take it, but ultimately pipped to the post by Team Sunweb Soren Kragh Andersen. It ended up being a lonely old day out front for our 2 leaders. Their main aim was simply to stay there for the 2 intermediate sprints to add to their points tally in that separate competition. Sternich there at the back, already leading that from yesterday. The 21-year-old is a former Serbian national time trial champion and making his debut in a European pro team this year. Pascal Ackermann, winner yesterday, looked reasonably relaxed in the peloton in the leader's red jersey, but he'd have his work cut out today to back that up. With 24 kilometres to go, it was all back together. The big teams all moving to the front as they got ready for the tough run into Hatta Dam. And it did prove to be very tough. Movistar forcing the pace for their leader Valverde, trying to put the hurt on the sprinters before the finish, and it did hurt some of them. Ackermann, one of the first to be distanced, he waved goodbye to his lead today, would look to sprinter stages later in the week. Over the top of the climb, world hour record holder Victor Campenaerts went on the attack. The Belgian has jumped ship from Lotto Soudal over the winter and is now with Team NTT. He was soon followed by the Italian Nicola Conci of Trek Segafredo, and they managed to pull out a half-decent advantage. 20 seconds with 8 kilometres to go, although they'd clearly gone pretty deep to build that lead. And it was all over for them with 3Ks to go, and so we had a sprint up the dam. Irish champion Sam Bennett leading out from the foot, last year's winner Caleb Ewan on his wheel. It was a drag race of a different kind. Such was the effort of Bennett that he almost lost balance at one point and had to stop pedalling. And it was the Australian though who'd keep his momentum, and in the end, back-to-back wins on this stage for Ewan. 2 seconds was the margin back to Bennett at the end in second place, and another 2 seconds back to Arnaud Demar in third. Ulissi, Zabel, Vendrame, Mezgec, Yates, Pogačar and Gaudu rounding out the top 10. And we have a new race leader. Caleb Ewan now with a decent 12-second advantage over Sam Bennett in second place, Arnaud Demar in third, Cherkasov, Lutsenko, Mezgec, Vendrame, Zabel, Kelderman and Gaudu rounding out the top 10 there. That lead, though, is very likely to change tomorrow. The stage starts at Al Quda cycle track, and from a purely bike racing point of view, there's not much then to talk about between there and the last 10Ks. Flat, open and on big main roads, but then they hit the final climb. The first of 2 ascents this week of the Jebel Hafit, 10.6Ks long at a 7% average gradient. Who's your favourite for the win? You can let us know down below.